So awesome. Right. Shall we begin?
Sure.
Yeah,
Unless I've already been recording and none of you have actually realized it.
Wouldn't surprise me.
me too.
Oh my god. I need to change things up now. I'm
Do you
becoming too.
feel exposed?
I
You're
do.
too predictable, man.
I'm like a Marvel film now. Jeez.
Oh my god, you are.
Right. So, hello, ladies and gentlemen. How do you do? Welcome to 42, 41, 42, 42nd, whichever the episode number it is. And we're going to be talking about a little film called Nezha Reborn. And we have our regular Pandicoot here as my co-host. And we've got a guest. Hello there.
Hello.
Would you like me to refer to you by your human name or a stage name?
My stage name, please.
What's your stage name? Because I don't think I know.
Do you know my real name?
Do you know what? Who knows? Maybe.
Okay. Just Zori.
Zori. Fantastic. How are you, Zori?
I'm alright, thank you. Very good. How are you?
Still alive. It's always a good start of the
Very
day.
positive. Okay.
And the Pandicoot, how is you?
I'm doing good. My cat is currently in the background screaming at me.
Oh, well, you know.
Maybe
You
she
might
wants
hear
to
him.
join.
Maybe he does. He does love attention. He just climbs all over my laptop sometimes, just like, pay attention to me! Just me!
How dare
But yeah,
it.
I'm good.
Sweet, sweet. So, Nuja, out of curiosity, did either of you know about this film before I said, hey, let's talk about it?
Nope. I didn't
No.
even watch it. I was just like, ooh, okay. And then I
Sweet.
watched it.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
know about it as well. I didn't even know that it's on Netflix.
Yeah, me neither. He was just like, let's talk about this film called Nezha. And I was like, okay. I've never heard of that, but sure.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, we usually talk about pretty mainstream stuff, so I thought, hey,
Yeah.
let's talk about something else that we might potentially enjoy for once.
Yeah.
And
So,
how did you choose this movie?
so this was a film that came into my radar during the summer, I think,
Oh.
or Easterish when it first came onto Netflix, but I always put it on the background. It's like, one day I'll watch it. So like, do you know what? I really want to watch it. I gotta make myself watch it. Let's talk about it on a podcast. Then we'll watch it. So I was like, let's watch this. So we did. That's
Yeah.
pretty much how I know it.
Good.
Yeah. So, Zori, as our guest, what did you think about Nezha Reborn?
So I really liked it, to be honest. I haven't watched an animated movie for so long, probably around 2 years. Firstly, because I don't have time to watch movies in general, and secondly, because I always think that I know it's wrong to think that, but I have this opinion that most of the animated movies are for younger human beings, for children, which is absolutely not true. It's not true. I know. But when some friends ask me to watch a movie with them, animation, most of the times it's funny, but that's it. It's just funny and cute. And I don't like that. I want something more. And I think I found that more in this movie. I liked it a lot, and I am very, very curious to see it as a feature film, to be honest. That was one of my first thoughts when I was watching it. What else? I liked the characters as well. I think all of the characters had lots of development through the story. I like the story. It's something not very common as a story, because usually when something like unnatural happens, it starts from the beginning, while here in this movie it started like after the first couple of minutes, 15 or 20 minutes, which was good. Yeah, it was interesting and unexpected for me.
You mentioned earlier that you would have liked to see this as a feature film. What do you mean by that?
I think it will be interesting if I see people playing it. Because
Gotcha. So like
yeah,
real life
that's
people.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
It'd be cool to watch it on like a big cinema screen, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. Unfortunately, I think this film came out during the height of the pandemic, so as a result of that, not many cinemas ended up
Yeah.
showing it.
Yeah,
So
it was released in February, I think. So yeah.
yeah, very unfortunate.
Mhm.
Fantastic. And Amy, what did you think of it?
It was. I don't even know what I was expecting, but I was just like, I was not expecting what happened in the film, and I was just like, oh my god, this is so good. So it was nice going into a film that I'd never heard about and not having any expectations or like knowledge of the film, and it was like it almost like made me feel like a kid again when I was like watching films for the first time. If that makes any sense at all.
No, it's a lovely sentiment to have, to be honest, and I'm glad that you actually had that in this film.
Yeah, not many films make me feel like that anymore. So it was nice.
Uncharted territory where you never know what you're going to find.
Yeah,
My oh
it's like you never know
my.
what you're gonna get.
Lovely. So, yeah, this is a film that I do adore quite a bit. Me being me, I have issues, of course,
Right.
but I think this is one of those films where even though I have so many issues, the benefits do actually outweigh them to the point where I'm still able to enjoy it without thinking too hard about it. Without it being
Yeah.
distracting, rather.
Well,
So,
see, for me,
Yeah.
I couldn't like. I always end up seeing problems with stuff in hindsight. You know what I'm like.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, most of us are like that. Hindsight's 2020, they say.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Now that we got the general consensus out of the way, I'm also curious, how familiar are you two when it comes to Nezha or Chinese media and folklore in general?
I'm not very well versed on it. There is a YouTuber I really like. I'm not sure how to pronounce their name. I think their name is Zhao.
Oh,
Um,
I know who you
I
mean. She did
he
that
did it.
Mulan video, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I also found out they're actually non-binary as well, so I was like, oh, cool.
fair enough.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, like most of the like Chinese culture knowledge that I have is from watching their videos, so not a lot.
Fair enough. And Zori?
I am not familiar at all.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. We're all on the same boat, so we're
Not
the
a lot.
perfect people to be talking about this film. But yeah, background-wise, there are certain things. In a lot of ways, this film is a spiritual sequel to an already existing folklore
Oh, okay.
and a
That's cool.
reimagining, if you will, because Nezha in, if I'm understanding correctly, in Chinese mythology, is a very strong child who rebelled against the dragons and the gods and the heavens, and all for the sake of the equality of children back in the day. And whereas back then it was more to do with the feudal system, they reinterpreted the meaning, well, or the themes rather, to incorporate the ideas of classism and the idea of the rich and the poor and the hoarding of materials and the like. So it's it's a really interesting reinterpretation of the mythology from everything that I understand. and that is a little bit of some, well, background information regarding the original story. But starting where all things start, at the beginning, what was the impression the film had on you within the first few minutes of the feature?
Hmm. I wasn't expecting there to be like a motorbike chase at the start. I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, full on speed racer there for a
Yeah.
second.
It was very fast paced at the start, and then it just went very chill, and it gave us a minute to breathe because it was like, here's the characters, here's everything going on, have some like world building. Like I really like the scene where it's just like a paperboy just going through like different people, and it just kind of shows you the world.
Absolutely. I quite adore that scene because even though not much is being done in terms of character, you get a perfect understanding of the world that our lead character is inhabiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree because it reveals the main character at first, and the motorbike, and his sister, and his lover. So there we go, everything.
So the basic building blocks are set up, and the film from that point on simply goes on to develop the narrative, the characters, the motivations further and further. And I think I'm going to be the one who's going to say, I thought this was a fast-paced film in the sense of it was too fast-paced for my
Oh, I
taste.
agree. I absolutely agree.
Yeah, I think there's only a handful of moments where it lets you chill, and the rest of the time it is just like full on action.
Yeah, it's a film that goes at 100 miles an hour at full speed, and then in the chill moments you're going at about 60 miles an hour, which is still pretty
Yeah,
fast.
Yeah.
it's like, oh, chill moment. Oh, it's gone.
Yeah. And even the action set pieces that is there in the film are incredibly rushed. For example, when they were attacking the hospital, they're like, oh, they started the attack. Oh my god, he got ready. Oh my god, the building got broken. Oh my god, he's there. Oh my god, assassin comes. Oh my god, it's over. That was like,
Yeah.
whoa, okay, that was like 2 minutes, man. Chill out. So I don't know if it's related to do with scheduling or budget, but when it comes to moments like that where moments are absent, I gotta imagine that it might be because they ran out of time or money, but there are pieces of the film that feel outright missing, if that makes sense. Did either of you get that sense?
What do you mean? No.
Okay, so let's take a look at the moment after the sister lost her leg. Okay.
Okay.
So he comes out of the hospital, his brother meets him, then the villain comes along, and then we get a chase, and then an action scene, and then we're back in the hospital, all in the space of like between 5 to 10 minutes. And that is a lot of things happening at a really fast pace, or a lot of plot points happening in a very short amount of time. And while there are interesting ideas within each individual plot point, none of it is given enough time to breathe and be expanded upon. For example, oh, what does the brother say to him if the conversation was made to linger a little bit more? And how would the conversation between them and the lead mob boss go had they been left to linger a little bit? It's almost like there are lines and scenes missing that help connect everything in a more fluid manner.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think they just wanted to tell all the stories going on because everyone had his little story at the same time, which was, I mean, it was not confusing, but I feel like they could have developed it a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, at no point was it, oh my god, what's going on? Like, a Marvel film
No,
or a
no,
Star
no.
Wars
Yeah,
film.
everything was clear. Yeah.
Everything made sense. It was almost as if everything made sense in the sense of, yep, everything is happening as it should, but not everything is developed as it should have been.
Yeah.
Amy, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I see what you mean. I didn't get that vibe when I was watching it, but yeah, I was just looking at it again. Obviously with the sound turned off, but like, yeah, it feels like something's not there that could be, but I can't put my finger on what.
Yeah, fair enough. Because, like, even the relationship with the dad, like, oh, he's angry. Okay, fair enough. And the next minute, he's livid. Oh, okay, fair enough. And then he's in the hospital and he's saying, oh, you're a good boy. He's like, okay, how did we get from livid to good boy? I need that one scene because that's kind of missing. So
Yeah.
even though it all makes sense, it's like there's that extra scene that could have helped make that moment a little bit more poignant, or would have helped elevate that moment far beyond what it could have been, or help the team a little bit more. You know, it's just that one little scene could have helped so much.
Yeah. At first, I thought that the movie will be about the boy and his motorcycle and the girl, and then this city appeared out of nowhere, and it had no water. So I was like, "Oh, okay, we'll talk about the city now." But then, what was it? Yeah, then he busted up the water station, and I was like, "Okay, maybe that's the story." Nope, a kitten out of nowhere. That's a kitten.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
The
the
kitten one, I was
was
like,
gone
terrible.
in like 2 scenes.
Yeah, I was like, the kitten died. I'm not happy.
Me too. I was
I know.
like,
It's like that moment in John Wick. As soon as you saw the kitten
Yeah.
die, everyone's like, that bastard better die.
Yeah, like
True.
I knew it was coming as well because I'd had it spoiled that the dog dies because I waited a bit too long to watch it. Also, I'm sorry if I just spoiled that for anyone, but like, what are you doing with your life if you haven't watched John Wick yet? Just saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, me and my partner, we knew it was coming, and we both started crying, and we were just like, I hope that bastard dies in the worst way.
Yeah. So immediately there are no qualms about morality here. Now, this is a bad guy. We got to get rid of him. But I think the way it handles it is really interesting as well, because even though what our character does is morally what we'd consider to be the right thing, standing up for the little man, helping people, and doing all of that, but the consequences for those actions, I think that's something very interesting about this film, because we don't really get a film or even a show very often where a character tries to do the right thing, yet there are detriments left and right, and it was really interesting how they handled it.
Thought so.
Sweet. What did you guys think of the character designs? I'm curious.
I thought they looked really like realistic, but also cartoon. If that makes any sense at all, like you can tell they're still like cartoon models, but it still looked quite realistic to me. I don't know.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah, I think the same. It's not only the characters, but also the world around them was built very, very in a very realistic way.
Absolutely.
They look very pretty.
In a word, yeah. I'd be on the same boat as well, because this film has a really high standard of fidelity. Like, everything looks pretty. It is shocking, actually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what did you guys think of the moment when he went back to his home and met his father? The conversation that resulted.
Having trouble remembering that conversation. I watched this today as well. Goddamn my memory.
Oh my! But basically, him and his father are having a fight over what he does, because he's a smuggler. So him and the adopted little sister, they go to their home to have dinner together and the fight breaks out.
Was that before the kitten dies or
No, it was before.
Okay. So yeah, I'm past that point.
No, it's fine. I think it's like 5 minutes before the kitten died.
Okay, yeah, I found it now. I'm just having a look.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
what did you think?
It seemed like it definitely seemed like it went from 0 to 100.
Yeah,
Like angle wise, it was like 1 minute he's having a conversation and eating, the next minute he's like, "I'm done with my food." Throws it across the table.
Yeah.
Just like, whoa, chill.
Well, I think that's a situation that probably has happened so many times over the years, and that's why he's not visiting his father that often, but he still loves him. And yeah, it was a bit short. Again, we're going back to the previous topic that I think they could have developed it a lot more.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think they just wanted to speed it up.
Yeah, or like imagine if it was Mike Flanagan doing it, that would have been like 15 minutes. Just
there would be a monologue in there too.
There'd be 5 monologues.
Many
One by the kitten
monologues.
as well.
The kitten, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then it died.
Meow. 10 minutes. But yeah, also even though it was short, like I was saying at the start, the idea of the conversation is, while it is still there, it is still underdeveloped, unfortunately. Because you've got the son who is a smuggler, the son who is a detective protecting the smuggler. You've got the adopted daughter in the middle of it all. You've got the father who's kind of barely holding things together, and the kitten being fed. Like, give it 5 minutes of pure conversation while they're eating. It could have been a fantastic scene, unfortunately.
I agree. Yeah, it was a bit short. We could still see the relationship between the characters very, very well, but still, I wish that I could have seen more.
Yeah, I think they could have built up his anger a bit more as well. Like, not like go straight to standing up and yelling, but like every time his father says something, just gradually like tense fist or like I don't know, grimace, and then eventually it'll get to a point where he says something and it's like, all right, I've had enough, and stands up and yells that. Like, I feel like that would have worked better.
Yeah, it's like, and the worst part is, like, each of the things that you just described are there, but they happen in such short intervals that you just don't get to marinate on the moment at all.
Yeah. If I'd have done that scene, I'd have had like a close up of like his reactions, and kind of like maybe have them like like I don't know, fade in, like showing him clenching his fist or something.
There are definitely different ways of approaching the scene, and whose perspective is the camera going to be on, who's going to be speaking. Like, there's a lot of things that could be tweaked in order to make the scene a lot more immersive and, well, organic, for lack of a better way of saying it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like the foundations of a good scene out there. It's just not developed. Tagline for this film: it's a good foundation, just needs a bit of development. And a moment later, we get a car chase with White Dragon Boy, and we come up to the scene where the kitten gets RIP'd.
Mauled. Yep.
Or mauled. That's another word.
I'm like of two feelings about this. I feel like it's just like, look, a villain overly villainized by doing like really bad guy things. Like, sometimes I like it, and then sometimes I'm like, you're just a straight up cartoon villain, aren't you?
Yeah, and considering how he is elsewhere in the movie, building up to it and following it, in a way it seems out of character for him to kill the kitten.
Yeah, like the way his dad was treating him, and the way I can't remember the lady's name, the lady with the ribbons.
The lady with the ribbons.
Yeah, she can like tie people up in ribbons and whatnot.
That's a power between the dad and the lead.
Oh, okay. See, I thought it was her doing it.
Oh, no. They were
Okay.
on the
Well,
ribbons.
anyway, he just gets shot upon by all of the other villains, and it's like, what? Why did you kill a cat? It doesn't seem like something you do.
Yeah. Especially considering the fact that building up to it, he seemed to be someone who is very much in control, and in that one moment he lost it. And he only loses it twice completely from an emotional and stability point of view. And it's this moment, and again when he fights Nezha later on. Oh, well,
Yeah.
the character who's the reincarnation of Nezha. So, I would have much rather preferred to him lost it in the final moment rather than losing it here.
Yeah.
And then it almost, I wouldn't say it negates the character at all. I'd say it creates a precedent that is odd when considering the rest of the scenes he is in.
Yeah, like it felt like that was just gonna be like a shorthand for look how evil this character is,
Yeah.
but then like later on it's like this character isn't all that evil.
Yeah, because when he's having the conversations with his father and the second in command, like there's a lot of nuance in what they're talking about and what they're doing. And in that one moment, it's like, okay, we got to establish that this is the bad guy. Right, have him kill the cat. Cool.
Yeah.
I think the point of this scene was mostly to reveal the powers that they have.
Yeah.
And from this point on, we started like watching the movie from different point of view. Now knowing that they all have powers and they will be enemies and so on.
Like that was fine because we got the main character got spiked by all the icicles and that triggered his power. Basically, it was like a Persona reveal
JoJo.
from Persona 5. Or no, like in Persona 5 where all the characters finally get their masks. It felt like that.
Actually, now that you mention it, yeah.
But yeah, and then the cat gets killed, and I was like, I mean, if that was just to showcase his powers, like he's already done that. He's just straight up being an asshole now and killed the cat because the cat was annoying him. That's kind of what it seemed like. It was just like, you're a pest, I'm gonna kill you.
It was a level of villainy that was cartoonish in an otherwise pretty serious-ish film.
Yeah.
Or at least a film that treats its subject matter seriously.
Yeah, like if he'd done something evil like that later on, when we've kind of got sort of a suggestion of like he's been treated badly, I guess it would make more sense. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think in most cases they do like this. They just show the real, like the real side of the character, and later on they show his story. And I kind of expected that this guy's not the baddest, if that makes sense. I knew that it comes from someone else.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm just kind of tired of like the shorthand of this guy's bad. Look, he killed an animal. That's how you know he's bad. It's like show us they're evil in other ways. That's just my opinion.
I think, yeah, those are two really interesting perspectives. Because on the one hand, we've had so many films at this point go, "Oh, he killed a puppy." But at the same time, Zori, you brought up an interesting point because it's almost as if he was overcompensating as a result of the way he's been treated by his father and everyone else within the organization. So it's a moment of, look, I am in control, bang. Oh shit, I wasn't in control now that I think about it. So yeah, it's an interesting point to have. I didn't really think about it in that way, so yeah.
Well, that was my first thought when I saw him, to be honest, because it's always I always think that if someone does something bad, it's because of it's coming from somewhere, if that makes sense. So yeah, I kind of expected it, and it was a good moment when they revealed the father and how he treats his son, and the son just wanted to prove himself, and that's why he did all these bad things.
Yeah,
it's an interesting perspective.
I think that's why I kind of like this film more. Like, I wasn't immediately like, oh, well, at first when I saw the cat situation, I was like, oh, they've just done the whole, look how bad this character is. But then when the dad scene came in, it was like, oh my god, there's a bigger bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I do quite adore his father.
Yeah.
Why?
As a character, he is so good.
Dylan really likes bad guys that are written well, but then it's because they're written well, it's hard not to like them.
Yeah.
In terms of like character, not like them as a person. Like if I met this person on the street, I'd be terrified and be like, oh no, I'm going to die.
Also,
Oh, yeah.
it's really refreshing to see a villain who is composed, who is in control, who's intelligent, who's conscious of what's around him, and presents himself in a certain way and incredibly stylish. Like, it's nothing not to like about this guy, except for the fact that he's stealing water and trying to take over the world and the heavens. But aside from that, he seems like a stand-up guy.
Yeah, I thought he was a cool villain.
And like, after having seen those 3 episodes of Cowboy Bebop, I was desperate for a decent villain.
Yeah.
Oh,
my friend put a post up on Facebook, and it was like very poignant of how bad it was, and they've since put like many other posts. They're like, I'm sorry, but I'm still salty and mad about this. And I'm like, he summed up everything we thought in a post.
Yeah. Like, because I really, a brief tangent on Cowboy Bebop, I really wanted to talk about it, but I didn't want to invest like hundreds of hours into it like I usually do. So like, okay, how can I make it quick and to the point? So like, okay, 6 clips short of each character, and then like a black screen for 10 minutes with text at the end saying, if those 10 minutes were a waste of time, that encapsulates this show. Watch the original.
Yeah, I started watching the original and my anger just intensified when I was watching it. I was just like, oh no.
Yeah. But this is something I really wanted to talk to you guys about. In the hospital, after he found out that his sister was in fact lost her leg as a result of the encounter, what did you think of the repercussions of his actions of standing up to the quote-unquote baddie, and also how he reacted to this information?
Trying to find the scene, because like my memory is, to be fair, it's a long film, and it's hard to remember every scene.
Yeah, that's why I wrote like a couple of words for each scene, because otherwise I would be in the same situation.
Fair enough.
Well, it was unexpected that the baddie offered him that as an apology, and I kind of thought that he will accept it and will and we'll just try to do something different in the future with it. But he just immediately ran away, and that's it. And his brother tries to convince him, but it didn't work. So yeah, it was a good scene.
Okay. Yeah, because I thought it was interesting how this time around, in this particular film rather, they had a character who just found out that their, well, essentially sister just lost her leg, and his first instinct was, right, I'm gonna go for revenge, as opposed to staying by her and supporting her in any way that he could. And that was a really interesting character choice.
Yeah. It kind of shows you what type of person he is. He's somebody who wants to stand up for people who have been hurt and stuff like that.
A very justice and fairness motivated.
Mm-hmm. It's a very good way of showing it. Instead of, the character going, I want justice, he's ran out and gone after the people.
Yeah, and it sticks to his speaks to his character that he refused the money from main baddie as a result of that, because that would be, in a sense, well, bending the knee, for lack of a better way of saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he also needed the money.
Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting, because in most media, I suppose, there would be a scene where he stays with her and, comforts her in some way, and then when she's all right, then they would make the move, as opposed to here, he just goes, right, I'm going straight for the throat right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really liked that line when he said, "Bring me the leg of your son," or something like
So
that.
did I.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was a good vibe.
I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's like, you want to apologize? Give me your son's leg. It's like, oh dang.
Also, not the kind of thing a traditional hero would say.
Yeah.
Like,
True. Yeah.
If someone hurt my brother, I would absolutely be like, give me your leg. You want to apologize?
yeah, and this is why, despite the faults of the film, I do quite adore the lead character, because there were multiple times he did things and I'm like, so traditional hero would do the opposite thing, but you chose to do this. But that also makes it, well, more human in a lot of ways, because it's not the perfect answer, but it's the emotional answer or the human answer that a person would come to in that situation.
Yeah.
And then we had the car chase again. It's a lot
Again,
of chases.
More
Now that you think about it.
chases. Yeah, so many.
And I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw this scene, I was like, this is very reminiscent of Advent Children with Cloud Stripe on the bike on the desert. It's like, hey.
Yeah, definitely got Advent Children vibes.
Over here, he fights two villains. A jellyfish, for lack of a better way of saying
jellyfish
it.
lady.
And
jellyfish
a pufferfish,
looking
or the Finding Nemo glowy fish.
Yeah, they were monsters. I was like, where did they come from?
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is straight up like
High
D&D
fantasy.
now.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, I see.
Like every 10 minutes this film goes, oh, you thought it was going to be like a cyberpunk racing film? Nope. Revenge film.
Nope.
Like, nope, there's monsters. Nope, there's personas. Like, oh my god.
A little bit from everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And what do you guys think of those designs and the way they were implemented?
I thought they were pretty sick, and I was like, I was not expecting to see a jellyfish lady. So I was
Yeah.
like, that's pretty inventive. That's not an enemy type I've seen before. So I was like, heck yeah.
Yeah, and I think she was singing, wasn't she?
Yeah, so it was like she was that's a pretty cool interpretation of a siren, if that's what they were going for.
Yeah, I think so.
I can't confirm because I'm not familiar with the lore.
Yeah. Well, sirens typically like lured people to their deaths by singing, so like I don't know if they were going for that vibe, but usually they're typically like mermaids.
Yeah, and this is why I'm saying I'm not overly familiar with the lore, because a lot of the interpretations that we have in the West are oftentimes not the same as the East.
Yeah.
So
the
the jellyfish could be something completely opposite to what we're talking about from the Western sense. So that's why the background for the jellyfish and the no, it's not the pufferfish, and the fish could be really interesting. And should have done that earlier, god damn it. But yeah, I just really like the imagination that went to the character designs of the villains. So not really something you'd see over here, unfortunately. Anymore, at least. Now, this is also, well, not the first time we see the character, but the second time. and it's the allusion to the Monkey King. Have you guys seen a lot of stuff with the Monkey King in it?
Probably, but I don't remember. And not a lot, so.
No.
Okay, so I love the Monkey King. There was a TV show back in the 90s which I used to watch. There was The Forbidden Kingdom with Jackie Chan and Jet Li, and the Monkey King was in that. There's loads of stuff. It's a very revered character in Chinese mythology, and he pops up all over the place in various forms of media. So whenever he comes up, I'm like, oh, things are gonna be fun, and it was.
I did like the monkey guy in this, though. He was like my favorite character.
He was a joy.
He was every time he was on screen, I was like very happy. I was like,
Yeah, me too.
love
I
this
really
guy.
liked him.
Nice, nice. Following the quote unquote battle where the Monkey King just eviscerates the fish bro, he brings the brother into the hospital as well, and already, even though we just stated that what he did was probably the right thing in terms of morality and the like, there was punishment involved as well, as if every time you do something good, you will have something taken away from you as well. So the fact that this film makes very clear the repercussions of your actions is really interesting, because it kind of blurs the line between good and evil.
Yeah. There was one scene I really liked, because he was basically saying, oh, you're just like mischievous and you do bad things, and he immediately is like, excuse me, you've done bad things too.
Oh
It's
god,
like,
yeah.
it's like, just because you've got this magic power doesn't mean you're good, and it's like, you've done some really shitty things. And I was like, oh my god, I love this guy, and I love this scene.
Oh yeah, that comes up after the training montage. Yeah,
Yeah. Sorry
that
to
was
jump
fun.
ahead there, but
No, it's
that was
fine.
one scene that stuck in my mind. Like, oh my god, that was awesome.
Yeah, definitely. It's like it's interesting because it shows the strength of the character after he brings his brother us to the hospital, because any other person probably would have said, just noped out after he found out, okay, this is what's gonna happen every time I try to do something good, and probably would have just tossed in the towel. But he's just like, no,
Yeah.
gotta maintain morality at all cost, even if.
Yeah.
So that is a question I quite like that this film has, is like, how much are you willing to sacrifice before it's too much for the sake of what's good?
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of there's a character in Ruby who is constantly just causes bad luck to other people. So, like, if someone's in a fight and he happens to be around, then they're more likely to lose the fight or be severely injured. So
Yeah.
basically, his like, they have kind of powers in the Ruby universe. So his power is basically bad luck, and he has to try and like decide whether or not to try and help in a fight or just sit it out. And a lot of the times, because he's very much like this character, he wants to help. Like, he always causes injuries on both sides, but you know, he can never like tell which side's going to be affected by the luck. And it just reminded me of him, and I was just like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think what I like about this is the fact that rather than it being luck, it was more repercussions.
Yeah.
Every good deed has a repercussion. That's kind of like the moral of the story, and it's like, how much are you willing to take before you stop, kind of thing. So that's a question in this film that I quite like that it had the balls to ask.
I wish more films would ask like questions like that, or like philosophical questions, because it's cool and thought provoking.
Yeah. Because when you have the power, you can use it in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And here, this inner monologue that the character had was very, very interesting because he quite of didn't know what to do and how to properly use his powers. And he was fighting with himself, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Which is basically morality if you think about it, because it's not always black and white. It's not like good versus evil. There's loads of nuance and stuff, and
Yeah.
it's good when movies show that, because a lot of movies do tend to just go, look, this is good guy, this is bad guy. This guy, good guy do good things, bad guy do bad things.
Yeah. And at some point I was even thinking that Nezha was actually bad as well. Not as bad as what was it? Was it Mr. D? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he had very, very bad qualities. But yeah, but eventually everything like fall into place.
Yeah, absolutely. And even when it comes to the main villain, Mr. D, even he had moments of look, at the end of the day, I just really love my son and bringing him back to life, which if you can do that, bring your son back to life kind of thing, and there's only so much that he can do. There's this one moment where after Nezha bursts into the palace, and they have that initial fight there, where the son goes, "No, I'm gonna fight him here, and I'm gonna make you proud." And there was that one moment before he said, "Don't disappoint me," where he's like, "Oh, for God's sake, no, don't do this." But at the same time, he wanted to like hide that emotional side of himself from his son so that like he wouldn't think less of him. Like there's a really interesting dynamic there that was revealed in the father in an expression before he said, "Don't disappoint me," and I really adored that. And it's almost like he knows he's going to lose, but at the same time he knew he couldn't stop his son, so the only thing he could say is, "Okay, don't disappoint me then." Then later on, when his son is killed, he sends him to the heavens and he's just genuinely sad that his son died, which is character.
I think we can understand that as a goodbye as well. I think that was his way of saying goodbye.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like it when characters have character.
No, it's so rare these days. Yeah, also that moment when they're having the backstories being told about the various histories where, you know, the reincarnation of Nezha is finding out, oh my god, it's like this is who I'm the reincarnation of, and the Monkey King's just filling himself up with booze and having a ball.
Yeah, he's just like, yep, that's you. Insufferable you.
Yeah.
Who I have to deal with every time.
Like, it's a good thing that they did have this character here being the way he was, because some of the things that they explore in this film are pretty heavy, and he does help lighten the mood quite a bit, making it all palatable.
Yeah. I do love how at one point he's like, if you don't control a fire, you'll die.
Yeah.
But like he just says it matter of factly, like, oh yeah, you'll die if that happens, so maybe don't let that happen. And then just boots him into the water, and I'm just like, I love this character.
That's also interesting because, like, when we see a lot. Okay, let's bring up Loki for a second. When we saw at the end of Loki and the classical clown in the room talking about time and existence, and he's thousands of years old, but he acts like a comedian today.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so dissonant from what you'd expect, whereas you got the Monkey King here, who's thousands of years old. You know, he's an ancient being, and he's just like, yeah, well, it'll just kill you, so yeah, don't worry about it. If you want to learn, you can come to me, kind of thing. He's very aloof. He cares, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, well, there's always next time.
Yeah, it's like he's had to explain this multiple times because of the reincarnation thing, so it kind of makes sense that he'd be like aloof about it and be like, I've had to explain this so many times, I'm just done.
It's almost like he's trying to entertain himself as much
Yeah.
as trying to explain it to others.
Yeah.
I kind of really like themes of reincarnation because obviously I'm obsessed with stories that have loops in them, and reincarnation is kind of like a loop, just not fully closed, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And it's just a shame you can't remember it when you're reborn.
Yeah. Be handy just having all that information.
Oh god, it would be amazing.
I was reading a book series called Fallen, and basically that's a reincarnation story, but like the reincarnation is if the character reincarnates and finds out too quickly that they can reincarnate, they basically combust into flames and die. And I was just like, well, that kind of sucks. But it was very interesting.
Fair enough. I mean, that definitely adds a bit of spice into the equation.
It did, yeah. Unfortunately, I was bogged down by a romance. Like, if it was just about the character learning about themselves, I think it would have been much better. Fortunately, though, it turned into a romance, and I was like, disappointing. Not that I don't like romance, it just. I wish it focused more on the, like, paranormal aspect than the romance. Carry on. Anyway.
The interesting part.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm down for romances when they're written well, and this was not written well. That's all I will say.
Fair. So, yeah.
Sorry for the tangent.
It's fine. I think I've had like 3. Next comes the moment when the Monkey King is having the conversation with the head of the Dark Clan and his second in command about killing the reincarnation of Nezha. And they're like, look, we'll pay you. Money's not an issue. Just do it. And there's this really interesting interaction of, look, I know who you are, even if you want to hide it. And it's almost like they're both threatening each other, but in such an indirect way where it's cordial. Like, the word games in this scene are really well done. I had a lot more praise for this film than I realized. I'm loving this. Oh. But what I found even more interesting is how a moment later the main villain just goes, oh look, he always comes around in the end and he will do the job regardless. But seeing how aloof he is, the main character just goes, I'll build you a cool bike like you wanted. And it's like, oh, I'm not gonna kill him then. I'll help.
Oh yeah. That's what I thought, because they were trying to offer him so many things, and in the end this bike just beat everything else.
Yeah.
I was like, because this isn't the first time that he's been used as a hitman, so clearly he is loaded. So at this point, it's like, I've got all the money and time in the world. It's like, I need something interesting in my life. And it just so happened that he could offer him a bike, which he really wants. And that's what makes the ultimate swing. I thought that was A, in character, B, interesting. What did you guys think of the hospital location?
Oh, I was thinking about that. It was in a very, very strange location, but at the same time good, because I would never think about a hospital situated on that angle. And it's very good for the patients, I think. It's very you start thinking even more positive. you see you want to live. That's it, basically. You want to live.
Yeah, it's a very nice spot. Like, it beats the hospitals that we have here because, like, honestly, you're stuck in a room that's clinically white, and it's like, oh my god, I'm gonna go mad looking at these walls. Whereas, like, they have a nice view of the sea.
Yeah, and the fact that it was built around a large temple of the Buddha is like, there's a spiritual aspect to it as well, where it's like, okay, you're in an optimal position to pray, be religious, and pray for good health. But at the same time, because we're doing that, we are able to help you in having good health as well. So it's kind of like a marriage between technology and religion coming together, where we're having modern day-ish medicine, but at the same time, it's built around something ancient. I thought that was a really interesting combination.
Definitely.
Whereas,
very good.
yeah, because like over here, it would either be incredibly antiquated or it would be very modern, and you wouldn't have a mixture of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up is the training sequence, which was, I think the way it was put together was probably what made it work for me, because if they did it like the traditional montage, I would be like, oh, for God's sake, we're doing another one.
Yeah.
But the editing in this and the pacing of it really made me go, okay, yeah, I'm down for this. Let's have a montage.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a very common scene, but they did it in a very interesting way. So it was interesting to watch.
Yeah, and it's.
I love. Sorry, you go.
Oh no, go on.
I was just to say, I love how occasionally you'll just catch the Monkey King on the bike, like, I'm just admiring it, honest.
Oh yeah, because that came right after when he touched it, revved it, and just threw fire all over the lead character as well. It's like, what are you doing? I'm just admiring it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because whereas a lot of montages probably would have focused on the training sequence or him powering up, this one had, okay, we're powering up, we're having the training sequence, but at the same time, we're trying to fix the sister's leg. We're also doing the deliveries. We're also looking after the brother. So it encapsulates so many different aspects of his life in such a small amount of time.
Yeah.
And it felt a lot more realistic, 'cause he was doing things that he would usually do. It's not just training all day every day, because he has to look after his relatives as well.
Yeah.
It's very realistic in the sense that, like, a lot of people don't have time to just focus on one thing a day. They have to do millions of things constantly. So it is quite cool how it's like, yeah, he's training, but also here are the reasons why he's having to train, and also his responsibilities as well.
Yeah.
You're reinforcing the character's desires and wants. Exactly. Fantastic. Oh.
It's nice having a good film to talk about once in a while.
I know. Like, I was.
Not that I don't love venting about bad films too. It's very therapeutic.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like when I watched this, I was like, oh yeah, this is a neat little film. I wouldn't mind talking about this. But speaking about it with you guys, it's like, you know what? I actually like this film a lot more than I thought I did, and that's always nice. But one thing that I love about this film is the fact that you can see the action and see what's happening on screen instead of 50 million cuts, 75% shaky cam, and not knowing where anyone is.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I also saw that many shots were just on one shot. There were no cuts, and that was very interesting to watch.
Yeah, definitely, because this is something definitively more common in the West compared to the East, because let's go back a little bit. A lot of Chinese theater grew up with martial arts as part of their acting, which is why martial arts. So as a result of that, when we see like Once Upon a Time in China, Drunken Master, the classic Jet Li, Jackie Chan films, the frame is still, and you get to see everything. Whereas in the West, it's like, we don't know how to do that, so we're just gonna have 50 edits for that one punch instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like they panic and go, oh, if we do a bunch of cuts, it looks really cool because it's fast and everything. And it's like, no, that
Yeah,
actually
the
makes it
first
harder to
time-
perceive things.
The first time it's cool, but then it gets boring. Change it.
Yeah. It gets boring, and also it's incredibly hard to keep up with who's where. And then you're just like, oh, I guess they
Oh, yeah,
won.
yeah.
I'm like an old man when I watch a Western film and I see a fight scene. I'm like, so I'm guessing that the person won because the editor was on their side. Okay, fair enough. Back in my day, I used to be able to see fight scenes.
Yeah. Do you know what? Sometimes though, as well, it's like this character has plot armor; they're not going to lose.
Like
The stakes are
Mando.
gone. Basically, this character can't die, so therefore they're going to be fine. It
Yeah,
works sometimes. Like if it's an origin story, then sometimes it can work.
it depends on the
Very,
type of
very
film it
rarely
is.
though. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's my piece on action scenes. And I just like a steady frame, and I like to see what the characters are doing. It informs character because why they decided to do a certain thing in a fight will really inform what they're like and, help build who they are even further. Because, contrary to what a lot of film academia may have you think, fight scenes are important for character as well.
Mhm. We are
Yeah,
still very. Sorry.
Oh.
You go.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say this about when he was fighting with this guy who was the villain's friend, his right hand.
Oh, the
You
bullfrog
remember, yeah,
bro.
when he
Yeah.
transformed into a very ugly frog? Was it something like a frog?
Toadman.
Yeah, and he didn't kill him. I mean, I'm probably assume that he's dead, but he didn't stab him in the end, which surprised me a lot.
I think in that moment he didn't stab him, but he was definitely going to.
Yeah, he was
And
going to, but this girl stopped him, and he kind of realized that it's probably better if he just leaves him that way because he doesn't want to be the villain. He's a
yeah,
good guy after all. Yeah.
um, it's great that you brought that up because it goes to show that the character is ultimately, even though he's trying to do the right thing, he's still very human in the sense of, okay, do you know what? I'm just gonna kill this guy because it'll make life so much easier in the long run. But at the same time, uh, his connection to everyone else is what prevents him from taking that dark path, quote unquote, and
Yeah,
becoming a
and that
villain.
was one of the moments when I think Najah kind of pushed him to do it.
Yeah, because that was the first time he consciously, no, or was it unconsciously? Uh, I think it was the first time he unconsciously summons him, and it's like, oh yeah,
Oh
hey,
yeah.
this is
Yeah.
the mischievous bro that you have been reincarnated as. Good luck. Also, this is a bit of an aside, but have either of you guys seen Kung Fu Hustle?
Yes.
Nope.
Some of it.
There's a character in Kung Fu Hustle that is very reminiscent of Toad Bro that he fights in the garage. And I was like, I should watch Kung Fu Hustle again because that's on Netflix too.
I should
Oh,
watch it to remind myself because I think I've seen it, but I don't remember any of it. So I should just watch it again.
I will write it down.
favorite comedy of all time. It's so good. Yeah. Now this scene I thought was very interesting because even though Ninjas help save everyone after being attacked in the smuggling base,
Yeah.
on the one hand, they wouldn't have been attacked had he not been there in the first place. So I thought it was a really interesting moral quandary there because they wouldn't have been attacked if he wasn't there. but they would have been killed had he not been there. So was it ultimately good that he was there, even though there was so much destruction and so many injuries to all of his friends?
That's very, very interesting thought.
Yeah. I have nothing to add to that, unfortunately.
No, it's fine. Because I don't think there is a right answer to that question. And I think
That's
the
fair.
film understands that, which is why you've got the one guy who goes off to be a leech and turn tail, and then you've got the others who stand by him.
Yeah.
So it's 50-50. There are some people who would say, no, he's right to be there. But some will say, well, if he wasn't there in the first place, they wouldn't have gotten hurt. So, and the fact that the film doesn't give an answer to that question, I like a lot because, well, modern films in particular have the tendency to tell you what's right or wrong, even if it's not right or wrong,
Yeah.
respectively. Um, WandaVision.
Yeah.
But leaving it open-ended, it makes the viewer think while using the context within the film as references to make their own judgment. And not many
Yeah.
films do that anymore.
No. WandaVision
Yeah.
totally should have done that. Like, they should have just left it like open-ended.
We'll get
I'm
to
not sure
WandaVision in
how.
time. Yeah. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was just yawning then, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I was gonna say that if he was not there, even if he was not there, he could have been somewhere else, and in that case, again,
People would
innocent
still
people
be.
will be hurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't really matter if he's there or no.
Like Dylan said, there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah, well, they wanted to attack him anyway at some point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's the thing. He would have been attacked no matter where he was, so best to stay by the people you care about, I guess.
yeah,
And as we saw later on in the film, they have no problem taking people hostage, so
Yeah.
either way, it's a terrible situation. After that fight, they come back to the hospital and there are even more beds filled up, even more casualties, even more injured people. And by this point in the film, it is wearing on him, clearly.
Yeah.
And it's cool because, well, cool in a relative sense,
Mhm.
where he doesn't know what the right answer is, and he's just like, what should I do? People are getting hurt every time I stand up, but I can't help but stand up for what's right. So, like, it was
Yeah.
the metaphor,
yeah,
very literally between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
But something I really liked was that story the father was telling the brother who was unconscious. The story of him crossing the border and, carrying the kids in a long pole with bedding attached to each end. I thought that
Yeah.
was a wonderful little story that had nothing to do with what's happening right now, but goes so far into developing what the dad truly thinks of each of them, and just going back to the personalities of the characters, and it was really well placed.
I thought it was a really nice scene.
I unfortunately can't remember that story.
It's fine.
I'm lucky because I have it playing in front of me, like on silent, so that's the only reason I can remember the scene and stuff. I end up having to do it anytime we have a podcast because I just have a really bad memory.
Yeah, it happens
But it
to everyone.
helps.
Yeah, and it helps having it, but
Yeah.
yeah, still, the fact that they were going out of the way to have this small moment of intimacy between the father and the main character goes so far into developing their relationship, considering we've had minuscule amounts of time together with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the one
We
scene now
didn't
that I think about it.
we didn't really know what happened between them. But we saw that change and it felt good.
Yeah.
I think it was implied what happened because the father is very disapproving of his career as a smuggler, and he's very proud of his other son who is a policeman. So
Yeah, but I mean not very in depth.
oh, right.
It
Yeah.
was yeah, because we knew that, but at the same time they've lived together for so long and they could have had so many conversations, so we don't know anything about it.
Yeah. More character development rather than progression. Yeah, definitely. Sweet. Next, we have a scene where the love interest and the lead character are talking about is he even right in what he's doing, and just basically talking about all the carnage that has been happening and whether all of it is worth it or not. And I found it interesting that she went, yeah, do you know what? I've always wanted to be a doctor, but sometimes there are some things even I can't do, but things that you can do. And I thought it was really interesting because it shows a level of maturity in her that shows, look, I can't fix everything, even though I'm a medical professional, but at the same time, what a person needs is the belief in something. At least that's how I saw them play it in the scene. What did you guys think of it? The conversation
Yeah, I
between them.
agree. I really liked that scene, and when she said that she wants to save the people from dying, but they will die someday anyway. So what's the point of saving them now? And she kind of made the conclusion that it's just them being with their loved ones more. And I really liked that.
Yeah, it's an interesting commentary about like being a doctor, because I imagine a lot of doctors probably have those days where like they've tried so hard and they still lose a patient. And I imagine that's probably really grating on them and probably does make them go, why am I doing this if people are gonna die anyway? It's kind of an interesting, like, existential take on it, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the two of them have a bit of a duality to them where she's able to heal the body, but sometimes the doctor can't heal the mind. And what the
Yeah.
mind needs is something for anyone's guess. But right now, he's offering that hope to them to keep living, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Ah, wow. Next, we have the slime ball come back and kill 6. Who's the only
Yeah.
character's name I remember. And I'm like, ah, they killed 6. Why? But
I know. Like, I was watching it and it was such a brutal death because he sees, like, he gets caught and it's like, oh, someone's gonna help save 6, and then it's just like, nope, click. It's like,
yeah, me too. I
oh my
was
god.
also waiting for someone to save him, but no.
And he was
It's
the
like,
one
this film's ruthless.
genuinely. But like he's also the one character that's pure altruistic, or presented as such. It's like there's not a bad bone in his body. He's always
Yeah.
helping people, always looking out for people, taking the hits for people. And it's almost like the film is saying, look, it's cool to be the quote unquote good guy and being nice to everyone, but at the end of the day, if you're just being nice to everyone, you're gonna get taken advantage of. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what they meant, but considering the type of character he was and the end that he got, I interpreted that to be what they were doing, but could be anyone's guess really when it comes to intention.
Yeah. To be fair, I like characters that with even though it would be easier for them to not be nice all the time, they still are anyway. Because it's kind of like it's nice to have those type of characters because a lot of it feels almost like cynical for it to be like, oh, you have to stop being nice at a certain point to get anywhere.
Yeah, and he never really lost the positiveness he felt towards the world and everyone around him.
Yeah.
Just a shame that he died, that's all.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, but it is nice to have characters like that in stories because a lot of the time it's like, oh, this character's hardened by like the stuff that's happened to them, and it's like, yeah, that's probably a normal reaction to become like a bit cynical towards everything, but it's nice to have good characters that are like refuse to, I don't know, give up, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think it's the same with the masked man, because he was bringing so much joy in everything happening.
Yeah. Having a fun old time, even though the rest of the world is burning. And it's like, yeah, well, I'm 5,000 years old. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we finally come to the fight scene I was describing at the start of the podcast episode, where we start at the hospital, then there's bombing,
Explosions.
mortar bombings, then he gets pissed off, then he fights dudes,
Angry.
and then he fights an assassin, and then the battle's over. And it's like, okay.
Alright then.
That was fast.
Can I just say though, the soundtrack in this film slaps.
That's
Like
a word.
there wasn't a moment where I was like, yeah, this is boring me. I was like, heck yeah, this sounds awesome.
Yeah, I also like the songs a lot.
It's a pretty metal soundtrack. I like it.
Yeah.
But it's, I kind of lament this scene because on the one hand, yeah, you got the basic outline of what should happen in this moment, where okay, the hero has the low point, the hospital is getting bombarded, the enemy is going the extra mile to make sure that everything is destroyed and that he is destroyed. All of that follows. However, once again, I'm not a fan of how fast everything happened. Like, each individual beat within the narrative follows, except for the pacing of it. If only it was a little bit more marinated upon. Because it's over just as quickly as it began.
That's true. I can't really elaborate because I pretty much agree with you on most of what you just said there.
Yeah, me too. I also agree.
Yay!
It must be really boring for people to listen to us all agree. Because, like, I think when we first started the podcast, it was because we all had different opinions on something when we were in, I think we were in Leaf. And then, like, when we got home, it was like, do you want to do a podcast?
Yeah.
Because it was like, it's interesting how we all have different opinions. And then just gradually, as we've gone on, we're just starting to morph into having the same opinions.
I think that's got a lot to do with what our standards are.
True.
Because over the past 40 odd episodes, we've spoken so much about media to the point where we're like, okay, what do we expect from a script? How is it executed? How well is it done? And I think, if anything, it speaks to how well we're looking into scripts more than anything else.
Yeah, we clearly have no time and nothing else to do with our time.
Yes, we have no lives. We just watch films and talk about it. But no, I would say that by and far we've had different perspectives. I mean, in the start we were talking about the different intentions of the villain with the cat and all of that. So I mean, it's a small issue in the grand scheme of things, but we've got different opinions, I hope.
No, I didn't mean like in general. I just meant like at certain points it's just like, yeah, we
Oh,
agree
right,
with you.
right.
Yeah.
Nothing to
Okay.
add or like, you know, disagree with. It's just like, we agree with you. Moving on. I
Yeah.
just meant that must be quite boring to listen to. Like, oh
Right.
no.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. What did you guys think of the dad's death scene?
I thought that was done really quickly. I thought it was like, oh look, the dad is dead. I am very sad. Moving on.
Yeah, it was quick, and I think the first time he didn't die. I mean, he came back, didn't he?
Oh no,
And
the dad. So after the battle with the bombarding, his dad had a metal thing
Oh,
Yeah,
sticking
his
out of
dad.
him.
he was stabbed. I think the character's called Old Lee.
Oddly.
Oh, yeah. I thought we're talking about Mr. D.
Oh
No,
Okay, never
no,
mind.
Old
No.
Lee and the main character's
the main
dad. Yeah,
character's dad.
Yeah.
when he gets impaled, it's like the dad is dead. He's upset, and then the next thing it's cut to a different scene, and you're like, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, it was quick, and I didn't see him being stabbed, so
Yeah,
I kind of didn't expect it.
Yeah.
It took me a while to realize that someone had died because it was literally like blink and you'll miss it. So I had to like go back and check. I was like, oh yeah, so he did actually die.
Yeah, and I was thinking about the sister the whole time, the sister and this traitor who was running after her, and
Mm.
I didn't quite understand what happened with them.
I think he grabbed her or she got away. I can't remember.
So he initially grabs her, and following that, he kicks him with her metal leg,
Oh yeah,
and she
she
gets
kicked him with
away.
the metal foot, and yeah,
And that's when the battle started, and they were separated at the stairway because there was a big gaping hole from the explosion, and they
Oh,
couldn't
yeah.
continue.
yeah.
Well, I was kind of more focused on that rather than the father. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
It might have been because there was more happening in that scene. Like with the father scene, literally, he dies. The character says something about it, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
This is why I brought up the point that maybe there was a larger script. Like, I have to imagine with how many things are crammed into it, this could have been like a 2.5 hour long script, but either they didn't have the time or the money to do all of it. So they were like, okay, what are the most important things we need to cover? Right, animate that, get it out. We're running out of time and money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the film was pretty much long. It was long. It was almost 2 hours, and
Almost, yeah.
That's
was
pretty
full of.
standard for most films now.
Unfortunately. That's why I
Yeah,
say,
that's true.
that's why I say it's like a 2.5 hour film that's been chopped down to 2 hours. Like, there might be a quote unquote Snyder cut of Nezha Reborn out there somewhere that fills everything in, but yeah, it's
I
weird
think you
because
cut out then because I missed half of what you said. Like it
oh
just cut
no,
out and then you or did you actually stop and then carry on?
I don't know what was the last thing you heard.
It sounded like you were halfway through saying Nezha and then before that I didn't hear anything. It was like you were midway through a sentence.
Oh, I was just saying that it wouldn't surprise me if there's a Snyder cut of Nezha Reborn where he
Yeah, I missed that.
fills in all the context we need.
Yeah.
I think that would be interesting. I
I'll
would
be up for
definitely watch it.
that. Yeah, I'm more than happy to watch a 2.5 hour to 3 hour long Nezha Reborn film. But
Yeah.
I think I'll go on.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say that it was almost 2 hours. It was full of actions and stories, and all of them were interesting. And I would be happy to watch something more. Maybe second part, or
Well, funny you said that because the second part's coming out next year.
oh, okay, I predicted that.
There was a post-credit scene at the very end of this film that teases it, and it said 2022. Have at it. So there's
Did you know
definitely
that there is another movie before that was released in 2019?
Whitesnake.
Oh yeah.
Sorry?
I think it's called Whitesnake, and the sequel. So this company has been releasing multiple films based on Chinese mythology. The first one I think is Whitesnake, and then came Nezha Reborn. Then Whitesnake Part 2 came out the summer of this year, and then Nezha Part 2 is coming out next year.
Yeah,
Currently.
but there is a Nezha
Yeah,
movie.
there's a film
Oh,
called
Nezha.
Nezha, and it's 2019, but like it's
Yes.
space, so it's got Ne, and then it's a space, and then Zha.
It's I don't think it's by this company. It's from a
No,
different
it's not.
one.
It's not. That's what it said. They're not connected. They're from different companies.
Yeah, that Nezha is related to the original folklore.
Ah,
All right.
Yeah, so I think it's a modern interpretation of that original folklore that was that this one is the spiritual sequel to. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, that one was in Liverpool cinemas, funnily enough, and I missed it.
oh no.
But yeah. From everything I've heard, though, I think we watched the better film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah, I think what I was going to say is I agree with both of you with regards to the dad's death scene. It was far too quick, and while the seeds were there for the relationship between them being, yeah, I'm kind of pissed off at you, but I still love you, it was still a little too underdeveloped for my taste. And I would have liked maybe a scene or two more with them just talking to each other, because in the entire film they only spoke to each other twice. The dinner room scene and the death, well, I say talk, have a conversation, the
Yeah.
dinner room scene and the deathbed. And it's like, I wish we had a third more fleshed out scene where they talked, but unfortunately we didn't.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't think we really needed that part with the father. I mean, if father was not in the movie at all, the film would have had the same impact on us.
True. I
So
mean, if you switch the father with the brother, and the brother ended up dying as a result of it because he couldn't move due to being in a coma or something like that, it's like the same impact would have been had, I guess.
Yeah.
yeah, and less complications. Because if there are a couple of stories that they didn't manage to develop that well, they could have just removed them from the movie, I think, because there is no point of watching something and then not knowing what's going on with it.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
just giving the surface level points and saying, right, moving on, without really going into depth. Because when you think about
Yeah,
it, the main character's dad is like, he was a mechanic and he disapproves. What else? He really loves his sons. Okay? And
and that's
yes.
Yeah, that's all you get.
Like, had they been more developed and if there's more meat behind their relationship, that scene would have meant a lot more, because what he says is something that would be what's the word I'm looking for? Something that would be very impactful to the
Mm-hmm.
character. Because at the end of the day, what he's saying is, look, at the end of the day, shit happens, people get hurt, some people live, but at the end of the day, you gotta choose to live, and so live. And like, okay, good, but
Message.
it's a great message to have, but at the same time, it's like, uh, I wish there was one or two more scenes where they were butting heads before they came to this conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because or maybe even one additional scene where the first one was in the dinner room and the father's the one talking all a lot, and then the second one was the main character talking a lot, and the second one's like, look, we both love each other, it's too late now, but hey, just live.
Yeah.
So if we had one extra scene with the two of them, I think it would have gone a long way into really having a bit more of an impact on the death, having a bit more impact on the narrative.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
And next comes our favorite character.
Yeah.
The Monkey King goes into our big bad's hideout and has a fun old time making
Yeah.
fun of everything.
Yep. I love his reaction to like I think one of the guys is drinking alcohol and he's like, what's this? And he's like, ew, you drink that? That's gross.
Yeah. When you have
And like that's
taste.
how I feel about beer.
Same.
Fair. Fair enough. Fair enough. But I gotta say, I love the creature designs of the water spirits that are bringing all the water down.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
adored them.
I'm looking at it right now and they're just like, oh, so pretty.
And
Oh, and the cute little one. I forgot about that one. Looks like a
yeah.
kitten.
And at the end, you got the sister playing with the puppy, and I'm like, yay!
Yeah. I was like, oh, cute animal that lived. Yay.
Thank God for that. We were worried they were
Thank
going to
you.
kill it again.
Yeah,
Although there were a
seriously,
few close calls.
we have been watching some stuff with some poor animals being killed. Like, first Midnight Mass, now this.
But it's like,
It was
when...
pretty brutal in Midnight Mass, though.
Oh, God, yeah. Spilling its guts out through the mouth. It wasn't pretty.
I was just like, oh.
Well, we're sure it's dead.
Well, yeah.
Now, this scene in itself is interesting on its own as well, because any other villain in the West would have lost his shit when he realizes that the Monkey King has been trading Nezha on the side. But this guy's like, no, I know exactly what you've been doing, and I'm going to approach it in as calm of a way as I can, because I'm a
scarier, if anything.
character.
Like, you know how in, like, I'm gonna use Star Wars as an example, you know when Kylo Ren loses his shit and starts throwing a temper?
Jeez.
That's just funny. It's not menacing, like, in comparison with Darth Vader, who's just calmly chokes a person because he's angry.
I would make the argument that he chokes him for completely legitimate reasons from his point of view.
Yeah, he does, but he's chill. Like, he's very calm and collected about it. He's not, like, running around smashing things like, I'm so mad. It's like, just look really funny, man.
It's like a teenager with a tantrum. It's like, all right, honey, I'll get your hot chocolate in a minute. It's fine.
Yeah. Like, if anything, villains who can keep their cool when clearly they're seething and, like, ready to lose their shit, they're scarier because it's like, oh my god, what are they gonna do? We don't know because they haven't changed their demeanor at all.
Which is why Vicious in Cowboy Bebop, the original, is a great villain.
Yep. He's chilled the whole time. And that's a 20-minute episode, and he's better written than an hour.
Yeah. I really like the cool demeanor that the main villain has all the way throughout, because as the villain, seeing him calm, composed, in control of the situation, it goes so much more towards like the threat of the character, just like you said, Amy. And it's so nice to have a competent villain as opposed to the bumbling buffoons we've been getting recently. It's so refreshing. And then even the son has developed quite a lot as well, because while in the beginning he was quite arrogant, having that first defeat at the hands of the main character and wanting to prove his worth to his father, he's had a bit of an arc himself, even though it's very much in the background, like Rosie in the background.
Yeah.
So that's something interesting as well, because on the one hand, it's like, no, I'm the villain's son, I can do what I want, going all the way to he has been humbled in a fight, and now he's trying to prove his worth, not just to himself, but also to get the adoration of his father. And I'm like, oh, Interesting.
Yeah, I have no disagreements to make.
Yeah,
It got awkwardly quiet then, so I was like, I'm just gonna like, yeah,
Just
I'm just
smile
gonna
and
say
wave.
things. Just smile and wave, boys. Just smile and
Smile and
wave.
wave.
Oh, now I want to watch Madagascar.
God, I haven't seen that in like 15 years.
I imagine if I watched it now, I'd be like, this is terrible. Why did I like this? But you know,
You never know.
nostalgia in it.
Yeah. Also, I'm gonna say quite the yawn there. My word.
Oh, sorry. I'm sleepy.
It was someone, I wasn't sure, but anyway. This next fight scene, I kind of wish it was about 2 minutes longer than it was. Like,
Yeah, it did feel like it was over, but like really quickly. Sorry. Carry on.
no, it's fine. I completely agree with you because I would have liked it if the two of them started with hand to hand and then they moved to their stands or personas or used the equivalent power here. And then they went to the full on monster battle. So have it in 3 stages so that you can see what they're like in hand to hand formats, what they're like when they've got increased power, and what they're like in their monster form. Instead of
Kind of like in a video game.
Well, yes, but also I would use the example of Naruto Shippuden and the fight between Kakashi and Obito because it starts out hand to hand and you get to see their mentality, how they think, what moves they use, and how they think ahead. Then they use magic to see, okay, how am I going to counteract his element with mine? And then you get the full on destruction of everything. So it has a neat 3 act structure to it that really informs character, their mindset, their strategizing, their intelligence, their ability, and this is why I wish more films in the West paid attention to fight scenes more. They do some of this in this film and in this fight, but not as much as I would have liked. What did you guys think of the fight?
I liked it, but I kind of I think some fight scenes I just kind of my attention was just gone because I've been having a lot of trouble with like my ADHD at the moment. So like some scenes in films I'm just like it's like I've got short-term memory loss and I've just missed like a few tiny frames of it and like so part of me is like able to enjoy it because I've just missed a bit, if that makes any sense. I'm
Yeah, I think
probably
I can relate
explaining it
to you.
badly.
I can relate to you absolutely, but there were some bits which I liked a lot. I was really impressed. But the rest I kind of forgot literally a
Yeah.
minute after I watched them.
Fair enough. What?
Like some parts I could pay attention and some parts I was just like my attention was just gone and I don't even know what happened.
Yeah, because literally the last part of the movie was just fights.
It was a lot of battle at the end, yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah.
But you mentioned that you found some of it interesting. What aspects did you find interesting?
The dragon bit. Thought it
Yeah.
was very visually.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, I
ooh,
loved the dragon bit and how he killed the
interesting.
dragon.
Yeah, because in the original folktale as well, the way OG Nezha killed the Dragon Prince was by ripping his spine out. So the reincarnation
Mhm.
rips out the synthetic spine, and it's like, oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah,
Oh,
we saw
dang.
that and it was impressive. Because
Yee.
from the beginning
Pretty
of the movie
brutal.
we could see that spine from since the beginning, and
Yeah.
in the end he used it as his weapon, and it was nice.
Definitely.
It
And
was very aesthetically pleasing.
definitely. And this is also the point where we have a flashback to OG Naja and him killing himself as a major fuck you to the dragons. And I really like the visuals of this scene because it's almost got that ashen quality to it where everything is on fire and burning up, and like this um it's nice. um like a distinct visual contrast to the rest of the movie. It's almost like a hybrid of 2D and 3D animation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I love how, like, he's that stubborn. Everyone's like, apologize. And he's like, no, I would rather die, bitch.
Yeah, because now the reason why he wanted to apologize, this going back to the original folktale, is because he was helping children not get eaten by the dragon lords, because every so often they would come up, take children to their underwater palace and munch on them as sustenance. So Nezha just went, nah, screw that. I'm gonna save these children because they're children.
Yeah.
But because it's against the natural way of things at the time, and it goes against the feudal system that they were a part of, they were like, now you gotta apologize, my god, if not the dragons are gonna come down and eat us all. They're like, no, screw you, I'm just gonna kill myself instead. And considering the character that we have been with, and
Makes sense.
yeah. Reincarnation of Nezha, yep, definitely. I'm curious, what were your reactions when they revealed the six-eared macaque as the Monkey King just after the dragon fight?
I mean, I thought we already had figured out he was the six-eared macaque.
No, so the six-eared macaque and the Monkey King are two different entities. This is why, interestingly enough, this moment would have gone right over a lot of people's heads in the West, because
I think it went right over my
head. Because
I'm sorry, I'm an uncultured swine. I'll fix that.
Yeah, because I've been calling it the Monkey King this entire time because I was like, screw you, you're the Monkey King. It's so obvious. But like, if you're a fan of this kind of media and you are well versed in either the original literature or the movies from this time that depict the literature, then there are various gods, beasts, and dragons, and incarnations of animals in human form and stuff like that. That there are various distinctions. The Monkey King is like the damn near pinnacle, and then there's all sorts of others coming around to underneath him in terms of power structure. But it's like them revealing, it's like, this is actually the Monkey King, not the six-eared macaque from the original folklore. It's like, have your mind blown, audience. And then here's us like, yeah, it was okay, sure.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I think happened.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, okay, that was, I guess, a reveal. It's like that Captain America moment in the first Avengers where it's like, I got that reference. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, them revealing that now this is the Monkey King that is helping him is huge, folklore-wise.
That's cool.
Yeah, at least from what I understand. I'm not an expert yet either.
It is interesting though. I'd like to look into it more.
Nice. Next up is the conversation about life, death, whether he is Nezha enough to warrant holding his spirit or not, and all of that. I thought it was really interesting because on the one hand, if you're familiar with the folklore, you're like, well, yeah, he is a bit of a selfish, arrogant little brat, but at the same time, he had a good reason why he was doing it, just like this character that we're following.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting how the characters view him, how we view him, and how he views himself.
Yeah. It's really interesting how a kid who just wanted to stop other kids being eaten is seen as evil. It's
All it needs
almost
is
like
context.
it's almost like a similar commentary on like people who are like, oh, criminals are all evil, and it's like some of them just want to be able to live.
Sometimes you were just in the wrong place at the
Yeah,
wrong time, like in Shawshank.
yeah. I like that because it's like it's going back to the it's not clearly evil or you know clearly good. It's just it's kind of a bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
Great.
what I like as well, because that makes it more realistic.
Hmm.
Yeah, and um, it makes it a lot more of an interesting conversation to have as opposed to, oh, them good, them bad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So next we have the reveal of the one who betrayed them and him ending up falling off of a cliff.
Yep. Bye. Down he goes.
Yeah. Like anytime I see that happen where someone's on a ledge and they've got a hostage, I keep thinking of The Dark Knight when
Yeah.
Batman just goes, "Let her go," and Joker goes,
Poor
"Very,
choice of words.
very poor choice of words," and he just lets her go. And
Yeah,
like, I've never been able to take that scene seriously
I
ever
know.
since.
I I always laugh at that scene. It's hard not to.
Yeah.
I laugh whenever because like that happens a lot in movies where it's like let them go and it's like don't tell them to do that.
Okay. Like
It's
he'll
not
do
a
what I
smart
do.
thing to. Yeah.
um, yeah, that was pretty. Even that scene before the guy who turned tail died, he was bringing up some valid points. It's like, ever since this kid came along, ever since he started helping, look where it's gotten us. More casualties than ever.
Yeah.
We no longer have work. Like, hospitals overrun. Like, drive him out! And you can see his perspective out of as a
Yeah.
result of all the events in the film. And it's like, oh, multiple perspectives. Good God, I've missed you.
I think we all agree with you on that one.
I lament multiple perspectives.
I love multiple perspectives. Literally all of my favorite books have multiple perspectives in them.
Yeah, and considering that there's so much evidence to support each perspective, it's so nice because, like, for example, because I'm on the tail end of my Nola Holmes video,
Yeah.
there are instances where characters express different perspectives to what they've already established, but the reasons why it works there and the reasons why it works here are two very different reasons. Why it works here is an overabundance of references that help motivate the perspectives. Whereas in stuff like Enola Holmes, Loki, WandaVision, Star Wars, the new films, they express different perspectives, but they all work not because of an overabundance of information given to us from the narrative, like a Mike Flanagan project. No, it's a lack of information. There's such
Mm.
little development that any of it could be true. Like Finn. Oh yeah, he's such a great character because he could be anything.
Yeah.
Okay?
Make him something then. I always get sad when I think about Finn as a character because there was so much potential.
He was the most interesting one. I'll say it now.
Yeah. He has such. There was so much you could have done. Like, he's a person who's literally just escaped being basically a soldier from birth.
Yep. And he's just
And now he's
reduced to
got to
screaming
figure out what.
Ray.
Yeah. And then it's like he's got to figure out what he wants to be, which side he wants to be on. There's like a whole story you could have had there, but no. Ray.
Ray!
Honestly, I had no problem with the character Ray, but like as I've gotten older and as I've like actually gotten around to watching them, I just hate her as a character. She sucks.
Okay, first
There,
she
I
has
said
to
it.
be a character. She
Yeah.
first, oh god, like caricature
Sorry for the
101.
tangent.
It's related.
But I needed to vent.
We'll get our time.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of the two funerals?
I feel like they did a better job of like marinating on them a bit more, but I still feel like they were over a bit too quick for my liking.
Which funerals?
The dad's funeral and
Sixes, was it?
Oh,
yeah, so they just buried the father and six, and the Dragon Lord just sent his son up to heaven. So both of them were intercut between each other.
Yeah.
well, it was a good scene, but again, it was very short and everything happened quickly, and I kind of don't remember the details of it.
Yeah, between the two, the scene with the Dragon Lord and him sending his son up to the heavens, I thought that was the better scene between the two funerals. Because when it comes to the lead, they were talking about, hey, you could give up, or seeing as we've come this far, we can continue to the end. And having that rising from the ashes moment for the hero. Whereas, and there was the song that the sister was singing, and then the love interest consoling, and then the older brother saying, hey, I'm still here, you're still my bro, we can do this. So all of that coming together in a really nice way. And I think the reasons why I like that is because it reinforces the idea of loved ones and a sense of community coming together and healing together.
Yeah.
And I think why I like the Dragon Lord scene better is because there's nothing said, just expressions on the face, and it's just like, I lost my son again. What words can possibly hope to express that? So he's just silent. He takes it in and it's like, well, I tried the nice way. I tried it for 3,000 years. Screw it. I'm gonna destroy everything.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking, it's like, I'm going to usurp the heavens. All right.
I feel like a lot of parents would feel that way if they lost a child.
Yeah, and I think the reason why I like that more is because all of that is done without a single word being spoken by anyone in that scene.
Yeah, I agree, because sometimes words are not enough.
Yeah.
Just silence that's left. So it
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Sometimes, like, there's a story where I was watching a Michael Jackson documentary a while ago, and there was a guitarist who used to be one of his concert guitarists on a regular basis. And he was like, hey, Michael, check this tune out. I did it, and he played the entire thing, and he played the guitar solo and everything. And Michael was like, okay, when you get to this point, don't play this note. And he was like, why not? He's like, just trust me. And he did it again, and he followed Michael's instructions. It's like, just because he left out that note, the flow of the song improved multiple times and it ended up being a better tune as a result of it. And it's like, and I've always remembered that story because at the end of the day, what the guitarist said was, sometimes the note that you leave out can make an entire world of difference. And I felt like that's what the scene with the Dragon Lord did there. Not a single word was said, but everything was communicated.
Yeah, true. We understood everything.
That is literally the rule of show don't tell.
Yeah.
But some filmmakers seem to immediately forget that and think the audience is too stupid and have to explain everything.
Definitely, which is why we had a 2.5 minute long scene of Alyssa drinking tea in a film.
Yeah.
But yeah, those were the two funeral scenes. Is there anything else you want to talk about the funeral scenes before we move on?
No.
Sweet. I think one last thing I would say is the desert-ish scene where all the plants have dried out and it's just brown around. I thought that from a visual point of view, that was where the film looked its worst. Like, it's like the characters and the environment felt antithetical and did not match each other. Like, it's almost like they were pasted on
I
rather
think I
than
know
being
what you
there.
mean. I think what they were going for is they were trying to have like, look, everyone's dead. Everyone's obviously not very motivated because people are dying, and I think the background was supposed to suggest that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But they did all look out of place in the scene a little bit.
I would say yes, but also I would say from a technical level, it's like everything was a little bit too low res, or um, like if we were to compare it to a game, like the rest of the film and the environments and the landscapes would be like PS5, but then that
Mm,
graveyard looked like PS3 with the same character models and the same fidelity, and it just kind of felt a bit off. Like, that's more what I meant from a technical perspective.
oh, okay. See, I'm really bad at noticing stuff like that. Like, if like I'm playing a game, like sometimes Ryan will come over to me and he'll just be like, "Does frame drop?" And I'm like, "I didn't notice it." And I think that's because when I was growing up, I had to play games really slowly, and they would like frame drop so much. I think I just got used to it, so I don't notice things like that.
Oof, like playing FIFA while the frames are not it's playing football
Yeah,
that way is painful.
yeah, and I played GTA, and driving sometimes it
Ooh.
would just like be really choppy, but like I
Yeah.
just got used to it because I was like, this is the only form of entertainment I have.
Oh,
But that's what you're like when you're a kid, aren't you? So
you're a lot more forgiving as a kid, as opposed to now when you're
yeah,
cynical adults.
yeah,
um, yeah. Ooh. So the scene that comes up directly after the funeral is him talking to the spirit of Nuja and him saying, "Look, I'm gonna do this. If you're mischievous, don't help. But if you're not, I'd like your help, but I'm gonna do this anyway."
yeah. Catch you
Yeah.
later. Bye, bro.
Yeah, and again, the character arc is there and the development is there where at first he couldn't even summon Nuja, but now he can summon him. But it's a matter of, is he going to do anything for you? So the motivations have switched up, but from a growth perspective, it's all in line. It's like, it's good. Now we've switched over to, look, I'm gonna do this. Are you with me or not?
Yeah, is
Mhm.
good.
Yeah, and as it is a narrative, the narrative thing to do is for Neja to reject him the first time and only come in the third or fourth time, because
Yeah,
story structure.
you gotta have the um refusal to action or something. It's got so many different names.
Yeah,
There's the call to action, and then there's the refusal of the call. I think that's what it's called.
I think so.
Basically, it's the part of the story where it's like, you're a wizard. No, I'm not. I don't want to be a wizard.
I think it's the segment just prior to the final act. But it's at the tail end of Act 2, or if you use the 5 act structure, Act 4, but just before
Mm,
Act 5 or Act 3 in the 3 act structure, respectively. It's a tiny little bit where you need the seed of doubt as opposed to whether the
yeah.
hero is going to succeed.
Well, like, I always saw the refusal as they get told they have to do this, or they get told they have this responsibility, and they just kind of reject it, and then they're forced to face it.
Yeah, but that's the thing. When it comes to this film, the protagonist is like, "Yep, we're doing this," and it's Nisha who his spirit is linked to that is saying no. So there's that
Yeah.
interesting duality there. So the structure is
Hmm.
adhering to Nisha while simultaneously having the main character be in a completely different point in the story to him. And
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
yeah, And next we have a underwater chase as opposed to a road chase, and this time we've got mechanical sharks and giant shrimps,
Yep.
which is not something I expected to say in my life, but hey, you know what?
Mechanical sharks and shrimps.
Yeah, giant shrimp horses, and leave it to a Chinese fantasy film to have a waterfall underwater.
Yeah, definitely. It
Like,
looks cool though.
oh god, yeah. Like,
Yeah, I was very curious to see what's under the water, and when I saw these scenes, I really liked them. I enjoyed that.
Yeah,
whole
again,
adventure. Yeah.
aesthetically pleasing.
and it's not
Mhm.
something you would often see over here.
Oh
I would make
no,
the
yeah.
argument.
Probably not. I mean, I'm guessing a lot of people probably have said, like, I want this in my film, and then they've been told no. Make it work
Probably.
without it.
But it's like, that's something I really adore about this film, the sheer level of imagination when it comes to the visuals. Because,
Oh yeah.
like, you've got jellyfish people floating in the sky, you've got mechanical shark bros, giant shrimps in armor.
Yeah. It's like it's like cyberpunk and like fantasy had a baby.
Yeah. um, interestingly enough, I think in the marketing they had this as an East punk, which is a combination of
East punk, that's cool.
Asian high fantasy and cyberpunk aesthetics. So yeah, you were
Is
there.
very good.
Nah, he arrives in the Dragon Lord's humble
Evil
abode.
lair.
Evil lair will do as well.
Yeah.
And
That's what I call my humble abode. It's my evil lair.
I call it the Batcave, but you know, he doesn't know about it. Anyway, I like the fact that he went straight to rescuing the animals. It's like, you're in a bit of a crap situation and your cub is up there. I'm going to try and free you first.
Yeah. And then it gets murderized, and it's like, no! Why did you kill a pretty water dragon? It is a water dragon, isn't it?
It's not a dragon per se,
water
but
cat? Water wolf,
I don't know
maybe?
the technical name
Water
for it.
animal. I was very sad that it died, because it made the tiny cub upset, and I was like, no.
Yeah, and they played with killing the cub so
I
often. I'm
know.
like, no, don't.
I was like,
no.
stop it! You've already made me watch a kitten die. Please don't do this.
Oh yeah, we've barely talked about her, but what do you think of the female assassin? The one with the cyborg arm.
Oh, the one with the eye patch.
Yeah.
I think she's cool.
I think she's cool, but
Yeah, that's as far as it goes. I think she's cool. And we don't know anything else about her.
exactly. Why was she there? Why?
It's like, oh, hello again. You're here too.
Yeah. Who are you? What are you doing here?
Once again, it's a matter of implications rather than distinct narrative development, because it's implied she is here to get revenge for a previous incarnation of Nezha for...
Yeah, but what?
Yeah,
but
why? I mean, there were enough people who want revenge. Why you?
Like, did you kill the relative, maybe?
Her husband, her child?
I think it's implied that it was... This is me coming from basic visuals and what little they've decided to tell. I think the Dragon Prince back in the day was engaged to her and Nezha ripped out the spine.
Oh, well, that makes sense, but...
That makes sense, but I didn't get that vibe because she was bullying him as well.
Yeah, it's an odd little thing. Oh, maybe it's just a mix-up in visuals, because they were talking about the fact that Nezha killed people that she cared about, while showing the Dragon Prince getting his spine ripped out, and I'm like, either
Oh.
this is what they're talking about, or it's, if it's not related, I gotta imagine it's a hiccup of some sort, because like they're very contradictory. But yeah, regardless, she ends up getting killed just as fast as she ends up coming along. Like, she came in like a bat out of hell and ends up getting stabbed in the neck and falling off a cliff. And it's like, lovely. I knew nothing more about that character.
And no one
Like,
cared.
oh no,
about
you
her.
died.
We don't care.
Yeah. It's like, oh no, you died. How sad for you. Sucks to be you, I guess.
Legit. It's like, having a spear through your neck isn't what I would call a Saturday afternoon I'd want to enjoy. But yeah, from this point onwards, it's a lot of world calamitous destruction till the end of the film.
Yeah.
And it's more Dragon Lord becoming full-on evil villain mode, which I'm very disappointed by, because this turned into a full-on action romp which became very predictable, as opposed to tackling a lot of the issues that it set up earlier on in the film.
Yeah, I agree. It was very predicted.
Yeah.
Because up until this point, the Dragon Lord was very much a nuanced character that has a lot of motivation behind him and a very distinct character to him. And now, in the third act, Nezha has arrived. Well, the reincarnation has arrived at the very least. And okay, right, we need to suddenly have the world end. How are we gonna do that? Traditional tropes, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I guess the ending is probably the least well executed part in the entire film.
Yeah. As we've discovered, endings seem to be where lots of films fall down.
All series, in some cases as well,
Yeah.
if Midnight Mass is anything to go by.
Yeah. But we even had problems with the ending of Hill House, and that was really good as well. But obviously, it didn't fall as hard as Midnight Mass.
No, it did
But
not.
it was still kind of. It was still a bit like, oh, it could have been improved just a little bit.
Yeah, like, it was thematically appropriate, but narratively incoherent, whereas Midnight Mass was just all over the place. But this film, even though this film takes on the stereotypical route of, oh, he turns into I'm gonna conquer the heavens mode, it still fits into the overall scheme of it, because this was his plan all the way from the beginning, and it's a matter of him enacting it. I'm of two perspectives here. I don't like it because it's very traditional, but at the same time, I can't say I'm against it, because it was his plan throughout the entire film, and he's made no secret of it. So, even though I don't like it, it's an instance of it being narratively appropriate in a weird way.
Yeah. So it's more of a preference thing as opposed to it being like not fitting in the film.
Yeah, because the evidence in the film supports this ending, yet at the same time, if I were to give a personal preference, I would have expected them to tackle it in as mature of a way as they've handled the rest of the film.
I'm sorry, I'm getting very sleepy.
Yeah.
We're almost done, I promise. So, yeah. Regardless, he releases all the water dragons from deep beneath and sets them out to create a huge, big-ass tidal wave to wipe out the entire region that they're a part of.
Yeah, he saved the city. Yeah.
Yes. And
Mm.
interestingly enough, by the lead character sacrificing himself to take out the dragon, that's what gives Nezha, the spirit of Nezha, uh, the respect for the main character of going, okay, if you're willing to die for this cause, like I was willing to die for this cause, I will respect you and let you have some of my power. And I'm like,
Yeah.
great. It fits.
Some good characterization there.
Yeah, I mean, imagine the spirit of Nezha, who's basically been a solitary flaming inferno behind the lead character, has a better arc than most comic book films put together these days.
We're not salty.
No, not at all.
Looks around everywhere.
Yeah. Still, I don't think I have too much else to say with regards to the ending. I do like how the people in the city are helping each other, reinforcing the idea of helping each other, the community, and not being alone, and living for everyone around you while maintaining that individualism.
Monkey King gets his bike, and then I think he gives it back.
Yeah. Like,
he's
don't
like,
put a
thank
scratch
you for
on
building
it.
But you do it. You have it.
But
You end it.
even the Monkey King had his arc, because the entire film he was hiding his face because he's just had enough of the world.
Yeah.
And at the end of the film, he's like, yeah, do you know what? I'm just gonna own it again and not hide behind a mask anymore. So even he had his arc.
Yep.
So every character has his arc in this film. It's good.
Yeah. I think that's what I like the most, the development of the characters, because we saw them going through so many things.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, everyone just ends up in a very, very interesting, in the right position, basically.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that will make it easier for me to ignore a film's flaws if the characters are good.
Yes.
If the characters are bad, though, everything else is just like a gaping hole that you can't like ignore.
I think that's why the two of us are quite similar in our perspective on the Suicide Squad. We love the characters. The story was all over the place, but we love the characters, so we love the film.
Yep.
So yeah, get your characters right. The people will follow.
Yeah, characters are very important. If you don't care about them, then you're not going to care about the story they're in, are you, really?
No, that's very true. I think in the order of things, character, consistency, and then everything else will follow. Hopefully, at least. Yeah, by the end of the film, the lead character has all the powers of Nezha after having earned all of it through intense trials.
Yep.
The doctor has, well, reaffirmed her faith more than anything else, because I think her arc is more, yeah, I'm a doctor, but sometimes I wonder what the point even is sometimes. And now she's like, yeah, I'll keep helping people. Yeah.
Yeah.
The sister making peace with the fact that she has a prosthetic leg and living on regardless.
Yep.
Like the brother accepting him in public instead of just, whispering in his ear, going, yeah, I believe in you. Don't worry, it's cool. I'm on your side.
Yeah. Openly like being on your side, yeah.
Yeah. The Monkey King accepting the future, looking for his staff, leaving the mask behind. It's wonderful. Even
it's very good. Yeah.
Even though it becomes a very traditional, quote unquote, traditional ending in the sense of big explosions and maniacal villains, like all the characters are consistent in what they do, even the villains. And I think that's what I really appreciate about this film.
Yeah, true. Yeah. They just follow their aims till the end.
Yeah. And it's good they don't do anything out of character. Like, it's very much in character for the main character to keep helping people despite the fact that people are getting hurt. But it's like he's committed to helping people. Sometimes when you help people, bad things still happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bad guys wants to do a specific plan, but he also wants to keep his son safe. Every action he does is mostly, out of trying to protect his son or out of trying to get to the goal. So, yeah. He's always cool and collected because that's just the kind of character he is. It fits. Like, everybody does things that you would expect that character to do.
Which I am so glad for, because
Mhm.
these days in Hollywood it's almost
What
like,
you want?
we gotta subvert expectations and have them do things that are completely moronic. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, please
Like,
no.
it's like if you want to subvert expectations, do it in a different film. If it's a film where the character's already established, or if it's a film where it's part of a series and there's been characterization done over time, if you then try to change it, it's not gonna work.
Hardcore nodding on my end. Yeah, absolutely. And even if you are going to be subverting expectations, then the writing has to be on point. You can't be doing a Ryan Johnson. You got to be doing a George R.R. Martin, where the narrative needs to fit, the characters need to fit,
Mhm.
and the world needs to fit. Like, everything needs to be consistent in order for the subversion to take place, because it's what I think a lot of people miss is, oh, it's subversion because it's something you weren't expecting. Like, that's half the issue here, because when we take
It's not in character. If a character is like hardcore really good and then suddenly kills someone, that's not within their character, is it?
no, exactly.
Unless they're a turncoat, in which case that's fine. But if they're not a turncoat and they've been presented as this really good character throughout the whole thing, and then they kill someone, it's very much not in their character, so it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's
Sure,
why,
it's shocking, but it doesn't make it good. It
yeah,
means
Yeah. There
like
must be a reason for everything.
yeah, it's like that would just be super confusing if you've been shown a character to do other things and like have this specific characterization and then you go against it. It's like, what the huh?
yeah, this is why I think the two best writers when it comes to subverting expectations are Alan Moore and George R.R. Martin, because
Mhm.
even if we look at Ned Stark's death, the trope would go, nah, Ned Stark is saved because he is the altruistic character, but because of the development of the world, him getting his head chopped off is the logical thing that would happen in this moment, because all the setup was done, all the characters were developed, and the world was established.
Mhm.
And a lot of people just don't want to do that anymore. They just want to subvert for subversion's sake. I don't like it.
I feel like it's because the misunderstanding when people say we would like subversion of tropes and subversion of stuff like that, and they just think it means, oh, just change it. It's like, no.
Yeah, and I
You
think
you actually have to do work. You can't just change a thing and be like, there we go, we subverted it.
that's why I like I said, I adore this film, because there's no subversion. Everything happened as it should. And sometimes that's what's best for the narrative, for everything to occur how it's meant to be, but have it be done in a consistent, coherent way.
Mhm.
Like, being traditional isn't a bad thing if
Nope.
you do it well.
Yeah.
Just
And
like
there are so
anything.
many. Sorry for interrupting.
No, no, it's fine.
Um, there are so many movies going out every year, and I think people just want to watch something that excites them, and um, and the people who make the movies just think that they'll do something unexpected in order to surprise the crowd, which is not very right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's kind of like when M. Shyamalan makes a movie now, like you expect there to be a twist, so when there is a twist, it's not really. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
Could you hear my partner in the background then?
That's fine.
I'm sorry. He's playing Monopoly and I think he's winning.
Oh my god.
I think he's winning, I don't know.
Yeah, it's fine.
Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, it's like M. Night Shyamalan's like, I'm gonna make this a twist, and it's like, no, dude, it just makes no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we already predict most of the stories in the movies.
Yeah.
But still, they should make sense.
Yeah. Like, I don't mind being able to predict a movie if I predict it and it's still done not quite the way I was expecting it, or
Yeah.
if it's done well, it's like, oh yeah, I predicted it, but it's still good, and it's still a story that I enjoy, even though it's one that's kind of predictable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would say I'll speak for myself, and you guys can concur or disagree with me hardcore if you want. But I, when watching film, I do like to think, oh, what would happen next? And if it happens, I'll pat myself on the back and say, ah,
Yeah.
good. And if it doesn't happen, I'll be like, ooh, so that's not what I predicted, but it still makes sense. So well done, writer. So those are the two perspectives I'll have. And if it doesn't make sense at all, I'll be like, writer, what are you doing? Chop, chop, get on it. But what about you guys? Would you say you're similar, different, or like how would you watch a movie and would you try to predict the narrative? Would you be happy if you were right? Would you be happy if you were wrong, but the film still did it well?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same way as you. I'm terrible for it. I think I annoy a lot of my family when we're watching new films because I'm like, oh, that's gonna happen, and then it happens, and they're like, will you stop it? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't help it. Like I was watching, I was watching American Horror Story with Ryan's brother, and I had not watched the episode, and I was like, oh, this is what's gonna happen next, and he was just getting more and more frustrated with me because literally anytime I guessed something, the exact same thing would happen, and I'm like, I mean, this show's kind of predictable and it's horror, and horror is my favorite genre, so I'm probably gonna know all the tropes and things that are gonna happen. I'm sorry.
I suppose.
I still enjoyed it though.
Okay, so I suppose I'll add another layer to the question then.
Okay.
So let's talk about at first off predictability. There's the
Mm-hmm.
predictability of the tropes being reused and therefore leading to the structure of the narrative, making it easy to predict, but also predictable in a second sense, where you pay attention to the narrative, you take in all the information, and you formulate your own theory, and that happens to be the right theory.
Oh yeah, then yeah, definitely. I do have a little bit of a ooh, I got it right. And then if it's the complete opposite, I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah,
So
same
yeah, I
here.
think I'm pretty much
I'm
the
happy
same as
when
you.
I'm right, but at the same time, when something surprised me, I really like it. And I think recently I watched movies were really, really predictable, and I'm a bit sick of that. And I
Yeah.
want something different. Well, even if I can predict it, if it's presented in a very, very exciting and extraordinary way, I would be watching it with my mouth open.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it does get a bit frustrating when you're just like, I know what's gonna happen. That character's gonna die. Oh look, they died.
Hmm.
Sometimes it is a bit like, come on now.
Sweet, sweet. So, yeah, I think that's why I like this film. It's not that it's predictable in the sense of, oh yeah, hey, tropes. No, it's predictable in the sense that if you pay attention and you take everything in, it all makes sense and you are rewarded for your attention, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't predict that the kitten will be dead, to be honest. That really
Well,
surprised me.
Oh, as soon as I saw the kitten, I'm like, how's he gonna die? Let's go. Let's get it over with. Don't get me
Cute
attached.
animal. Yeah, I was like, cute animal possibly gonna die. Or it's like you start watching it and it's like, there's a cute animal. Oh my god, anxiety.
But then they put in the curveball of having the water puppy in there, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
no,
I was
all
like,
bets
oh
are off.
no.
I don't know what's gonna happen now. I'm worried.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, a second cute animal. What is this?
But yeah. Now we are at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm. It was very good. I liked it a lot. Did you like my song?
I bet you know. Sweet.
I'm sorry, I've been like binging musicals recently, so that's probably where that's come from.
Oh my. Nice. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And has your perspective changed in any way since the conversation? Has your perspective of it been, oh, it's better than I thought. It's not as good as I thought, or is it the same?
It's pretty much the same because looking at it, I did feel like the dad scenes were very slow, but everything else I quite enjoyed. Apart from obviously the really in your face action scenes, where I was like trying to get everything across really fast. But yeah, no, it's pretty much the
Yeah,
same.
everything is the same for me. But when I was talking to you guys, I kind of put together everything in my head and made everything more clearly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I paid more attention to the details.
Yeah, that's what happens when you start talking
Yeah,
about it in hindsight.
exactly.
That's usually how I figure out whether I don't like a film or not, is by talking about it with Dylan, and then we end up both like, oh, it's actually terrible. Or good, like today.
Yeah.
Great. I
Mhm.
is glad, because I had no idea what the consensus was on this, because when I heard, oh no, I've never heard of this thing before, why are you making me watch it? It's like,
I did not say why are you making me watch it. I just said, oh, I've never heard of it.
True.
You can't make me do nothing.
True. I guess I was asking myself, why are you making me watch this? It's like, I don't know, I'm sorry. It's like, I'll buy you a cup of tea. Come on, let's do this.
Yeah, just trying to like motivate yourself, being like, I will feed you tea. Promise.
Copious tea. Sweet. Yeah, as I said, I adore this film. Definitely not without its faults, but regardless, as I said earlier, the positives outweigh the flaws to the point where I'm able to enjoy it regardless.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to the sequel. Hey!
What is a sequel? Ooh, yay!
Next year.
I didn't know there was a sequel. I'm happy now.
They have a brief teaser of it in the post-credit scene.
Oh, I did. I didn't know there was a post-credit scene either.
There were 2 post-credit scenes.
Oh my god! I didn't know that.
There's one halfway through, and there's 2 trailers for future films that this company is doing.
Ooh, exciting!
I was wondering why is it 10 minutes, but I was like, okay, I'll just close it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm used to credits being long, and I did actually like move the slider across to see if there was any cutscenes. I must have just missed them.
Yeah, Netflix isn't
like,
great when it comes to that.
Netflix, you suck.
Yeah.
But also, I'm still gonna keep watching stuff on you because, yeah.
You have stuff I like.
Yeah. I mean, it's a mixed bag, let's be honest.
You can have a blind man one day and a cowboy bebop the next. You just never know.
And then you just get trash like Riverdale.
I still can't believe that show exists.
It's still going as well. Like,
Is
I don't
it?
think it's gonna. Yeah, there's a season 6 of it now, I think.
Good God,
I
season
literally
6.
watched the first 7 episodes of season 1 when it was released, and everyone was crazy with Riverdale.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
it's batshit insane.
No, I don't like this. No.
I somehow watched 4 seasons of that because apparently I'm a masochist.
You see, Back in my day, I used to read the original Archie comics and the
don't watch
cartoons.
this. Don't watch Riverdale. Just don't.
A literal grandpa when it comes to Archie. He's like, back in my day, we're reading the comic books.
I literally think it was a situation where it was like, it's like a car crash you can't look away from. And I was just like, how much more batshit is this show gonna get? And it was just like, what the hell am I watching?
Ay, ay, ay.
And then it got too far, and I was just like, right, okay, this is just, this is not worth my time anymore. It wasn't worth my time in the first place, but you know,
Now the
had to draw
nails
the line.
really being driven
Yeah.
down.
I was just like, no, I'm done. I've reached my limit.
Fair enough. Oh, right. And with all that out of the way, we have come to the tail end. I suppose the next thing to say is goodbye, but before we do, Zori, are there any links that you would like to promote before saying goodbye to everyone?
Oh, I was not prepared for that question. Well, this podcast, it's amazing. Listen to it. Listen to the rest of the episodes. It's very, very interesting.
Yay, thank you.
No problem at all. That's
fantastic. For anyone who is interested, Zori does have an Instagram and is a working actor, so there are multiple projects that she is a part of, and there are multiple social medias for each of them. And
so give her jobs.
Provided she lets me have the links, they will be in the description below for anyone to have a look at.
Oh, thank you guys.
For all three of you watching.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad we talked about a good film as opposed to mind
We have
melting.
to do that now and then. We have to do self-care, you know, guys.
Yeah, the reactions are for crap. What what we watches are for therapy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope everyone listening to this has had as good a time as us talking about it and listening to it. So next time round, who knows what we'll be talking about? I sure as hell have no idea what we're going to be talking about. So whatever it may be, we shall see you next time. So take care, everyone.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.